morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Vitor Gaspar, and I'm the director of the IMF's Fiscal Affairs Department. I wish you all a very warm welcome to this hybrid event on GovTech. GovTech is about how digital technologies change public administration and government's policies. In 2017, the Fiscal Affairs Department published a book called Digital Revolutions in Public Finance. The book highlights the opportunities and challenges of the digital transformation in fiscal policies. First, digitalization offers massive opportunities, including for developing countries to leapfrog. There are many inspiring examples. On taxation, Kenya stood out as an example where mobile tax payments reduced compliance costs for taxpayers. In Estonia, the income data of drivers is connected in real time to the tax office via the Uber platform, which supports compliance. On spending, India adopted a digital ID, the Aadhaar. It significantly improved the effectiveness of social assistance programs, reaching a vast number of households in rural areas. And during the pandemic, FAD experts assisted Honduras and Burkina Faso to set up digital platforms which significantly increased transparency of spending during the emergency response. But digitalization also brings new challenges. As we all know from watching the news, there are risks related to cybersecurity and privacy. Think, for instance, of hacks in Kenya and Lesotho that corrupted treasury system. These risks have to be addressed head-on. Also, the digital divide risks creating new forms of inequality and vulnerability. The GovTech revolution that was already taking place before the pandemic accelerated further. Experts believe the last 18 months delivered a decade worth of progress. In 18 months, a decade happened. Given how fast governments are digitalizing, it is very important to distinguish between pace and haste. It is necessary to do it right. Countries need to learn from each other how this transition is best managed. But it's also necessary to avoid silos, where each arm of the government develops its own digital strategy. Given how similar the opportunities are and how common the challenges are, the gains from synergies from collaboration and peer learning are enormous. And this is what today's program is about. To learn from country experiences. We will hear about the digital modernization of tax administration in Estonia and Chile, and from the innovations in social spending and public financial management in Togo and India. The second panel will discuss the future outlook with views from business leaders, academics, and front-runner countries like Egypt. I wish you a very inspiring and productive day. I now give the floor to my colleague, Ruud de Moy. Ruud.
Thank you very much, Vitor, and good day to everyone. My name is Ruud de Moy, and I'm an advisor in the IMF's Fiscal Affairs Department. As Vitor said, we will have two distinguished panels today to talk about GovTech. But before starting these discussions, I will say a bit more about what we at the IMF mean by GovTech. I will also pose a few questions that we often face in discussions with governments and which provide an introduction to the panels. So, what do we mean by GovTech? Broadly speaking, the term refers to how digital technology affects government operations and policies. This can refer to a wide range of services, from education and healthcare to taxes and transfers. For us in the Fiscal Affairs Department, the focus is on the management and the design of fiscal policies. This can be divided into, on the one hand, the revenue side, and on the other hand, the management of the budget, including debt and public expenditure management. So let me start with the revenue side. Information is the lifeblood of any tax administration, and digitalization is essentially an information revolution. It can provide tax administrations with more, better, and timelier information about transactions, individuals, firms, and assets. And this information can also be better accessed, stored, and processed by using new emerging technologies. The impact is revolutionary. One prominent and visible change that we already see in taxation is electronic filing and payments of taxes, which is increasingly becoming the global norm. And this can pay off. A recent World Bank study found that e-filing by firms in Tajikistan significantly reduced compliance costs for businesses, while it also raised tax payments from firms that are most likely to evade taxes. In the value-added tax, countries have been moving toward electronic sales registries. Also, this has had major effects. An evaluation by IMF staff, for instance, finds that in Peru, its introduction increased reported sales by 5%. Elsewhere in Latin America, studies report increases in VAT revenue by between 4% in Uruguay to more than 20% in Brazil and Ecuador. Studies for African countries find similar effect, from 6% in Rwanda to over 20% in Ethiopia. Despite these positive experiences, however, we should not underestimate the challenges and the risks of these digital transformations of tax administrations. First, many digitalization projects in the past have failed. One key lesson learned is that successful digital transformation of a revenue administration requires much more than simply changing the technology. It needs comprehensive reform, including of the organizational structure, the skills of its staff, and the governance and decision-making processes. The challenge of effectively managing massive flows of data is enormous. Second, tax administrations need to pay due attention to the risk from digitalization. These can come from cybercrimes, biases in automated decision-making, possible breaches in data, and new avenues for tax evasion and fraud, possibly due to the use of private cryptocurrencies. Let us next look at the spending side of the budget. Also here, the information revolution transforms everything the Ministry of Finance does, from budget preparation and execution, to payment systems, to procurement, controls, and data management. For example, Korea's Ministry of Finance has recently introduced an innovative financial management information system called D-Brain, which includes capabilities to produce short-term fiscal forecasts using machine learning and big data. This improves the efficiency of all its fiscal operations. Digital innovation in financial management information systems also enhance fiscal transparency and reduce opportunities for corruption, as we've also heard from the session this morning on the corruption challenge. The digital revolution can further have major benefits in public service delivery. For example, IMF staff recently supported a new digital payment system for social transfers in Costa Rica. It reduces the time of the payment to households from 5 days to just 1 day. The provision of social transfers is one area in public spending where digitalization has rapidly made headway during the pandemic. In 20% of the developing countries, cash was still used as the primary means of delivering social benefit payments, often with limited coverage. But the pandemic challenged governments to swiftly deliver government support to more households whose lives and livelihood were endangered. The answer was the introduction of government-to-person mobile money transfers. These have better coverage, were provided more rapidly, and also in a more transparent way. Countries like Brazil, Cambodia, Nigeria, and Togo successfully launched such cashless transfer programs to reach vulnerable people in the informal economy. Such developments in the use of digital money for social transfer payments will probably continue in the near future. It is a good example of the interaction between GovTech and FinTech, yielding better services to citizens. Now, so far, I have discussed taxes and public expenditures separately. And these functions have traditionally been two separate arms of the public bureaucracy. But digitalization may well change this in the near future. The two arms could exploit economies of scale in information management for the execution of both tax and expenditure policies. Digitalization, of course, also does not only revolutionize public finances, but is transforming the entire economy. For instance, tech giants such as Amazon, Alibaba, and Facebook have become the largest global firms in a short period of time. In the service sector, the peer-to-peer economy has been replacing traditional supply of retail, transportation, and accommodation. And automation and artificial intelligence are displacing old jobs while creating new ones. These developments reflect how the information revolution is fundamentally transforming markets, and how it also changes classic market failures associated with information problems. It urges a rethinking of the role of government in the economy. And we already see such changes. For instance, countries have agreed to change the way in which large global multinationals are being taxed on their profits. Digital platforms are being used as collection agents. And job insecurity has revived debates on introducing a universal basic income. These discussions are probably just the beginning of much larger transformations in fiscal policies in the future. This concludes my brief introduction to the topic of today. We now have two excellent panels with 7 distinguished speakers who will cover issues in greater depth. I'm therefore very happy to hand over the floor to my colleague Gerardo Una, also from the Fiscal Affairs Department, who leads the first panel. Gerardo, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ruth. Good morning, everyone, from the 2021 annual meetings in Washington, D.C. My name is Gerardo Una, and I am Senior Economist in the IMF Fiscal Affairs Department. We are in a world where digital innovations have a great potential to improve the design, implementation, and transparency of fiscal policy and operations. Innovations such as big data, machine learning, and cloud computing are becoming more common in public finance. The COVID-19 pandemic has accelerated the digitalization of our lives. In the same manner, the responses adopted by governments to support families and private sector during the COVID pandemic have been channeled through digital solutions, such as mobile money and electronic funds transfers. GovTech solutions, such as financial management information systems, tax administration platforms, and web portals, are key instruments to improve public financial management and revenue administration processes. In this session, we will learn about how GovTech and FinTech applications have affected public financial management system and processes, including treasury management, accounting, and fiscal reporting. Also, the impact of GovTech and FinTech solutions on revenue administrations, tax and custom reporting, payments, audits, and spending policy, especially cash transfer programs. We will discuss what have been the main challenges and risks for the countries, what has been the impact of adopting GovTech and FinTech innovations to public finance, what determines success, and how has it worked out during COVID pandemic. We have 4 high-level speakers from Togo, India, Chile, and Estonia to discuss this topic. 4 different countries from different regions that give us a lot of background and very good information about their experience. First, let me introduce Ms. Lawson, Minister of Digital Economy and Digital Transformation of Togo. Ms. Lawson is leading Togo through a profound transition to an inclusive digital economy. She has extensive experience in the private sector in the US and France. She is a strong advocate of innovation-driven solutions to Africa's development challenges. In 2019, Ms. Lawson received the Harvard Alumni Public Service Award, becoming the first African female political figure to do so. In this occasion, Minister Lawson will present the main characteristic of Novici, a social protection platform based on digital innovation. Mr. Lawson, the floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you very much for having me here. I think it's a very important topic that you raised. And the Novici program, which is a cash transfer program that we developed to help the poorest Togolese during the pandemic, is a good example of how digitization is. So in March 2020, early March 2020, we had our first COVID case. And a month later, the president announced the state of health emergency. Very quickly, we understood that we had to use mobility restriction measures in order to prevent people from actually going out and spreading the disease. At the same time, we were very concerned because we wanted to make sure that the informal sector was protected. Because as you know, many people within the informal sector needs to go out every day to earn a living. So we set up this cash transfer program, the Novici program. Novici means solidarity in local language. And the program was designed to support the poorest individuals by giving them 1/3 of the minimum wage. The program, the technical platform used a USSD technology which did not require people to have internet connection. Moreover, we wanted to create a platform where trust would be built in. So what it meant was that every time someone would register, if the person was, they would receive their money straight away, within seconds. And so we wanted to make sure that beneficiaries were real people, actual people. So we asked everybody to register using the biometric ID, the voter's ID, because the voter's ID was the main biometric ID in Togo. And the advantage of using voter's ID was that, number one, we knew that people who had this ID card were older than 18 years, and that was important because we wanted to support households and adults. Number two, we had the gender, which was important because we decided to give more money to women than men. Number three, we had their professions, and we could pick and choose which professions to support, and we focused on the informal sector. Number four, we have their geographic locations. Not all the country was targeted by our mobility restriction measures. And so within the months of Novici, we were able to support approximately 25% of all Togolese adults in Togo, and we distributed $34 million. What is very important is that moving on, after the first few months, we reached out to the University of California at Berkeley and the Innovations for Poverty and team, and we asked them to help us using artificial intelligence to improve targeting. So we were able to they were able to draw satellite imagery of Togo and to rank all of the 400 Togolese districts from the poorest to the richest through satellite imagery. Now, within these poorest districts, we wanted to know who the poorest individuals were, and we were able to use telecom operators' metadata and artificial intelligence. And based on what the machine said, the algorithm said, we made additional payouts with the support, the financial support of a US NGO, Give Directly. We were able to pay 140,000 individuals just based on what the algorithm said, making checks on the field using cell phones to call beneficiaries. So the program is very important because we used artificial intelligence. We roll it out very quickly. The platform itself was built within 10 days. And what it really, in terms of the lessons learned, with the program, we had increased trust. Like I said earlier, within seconds, in less than 2 minutes, someone would register and receive funding. This is new because most of the time when you have to receive funding from any government, it takes months. Number two, there was an increased transparency and accountability because we would report on every single day on how many people receive funding. And we also hired an independent auditing firm to make sure to audit every day's payment. And I think that was the first time that the Togolese citizens could receive information on a daily basis on how much money was spent, who received, which categories of the population received the funding, and that they also understood that we were auditing what we were doing to make sure that everything was clean and transparent. And to finish my talk, I would say that it really improved social protection. Using these digital means, we were able to transform the face of social protection in Togo, because before that, in terms of cash transfer, it was really the social protection ministries would send people out in the field for them to actually distribute physical cash. So when people talk about leapfrogging, talk about the digital transformation, I can say that this project was a clear commitment of Togo towards higher transparency, towards modernization of the way policies were designed, and also towards what we called data for good, because at the end of the day, we used tech, we used big data, we used tech to improve our policies. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister Loss, for sharing this with us, our experience on how to apply GovTech solutions to social protection platforms. This experience is awesome, and I am quite sure that this experience will inspire for several developing countries. Now, please let me introduce our next speaker, Ms Panda, from the Minister of Finance of India. Ms Panda is the Additional Controller General of Account of India, and she leads the Public Financial Management Division. During her career, spanning 35 years in the government of India, she has handled various important assignments in the finance, power, health, defense, home, and industry sectors. Currently, in her capacity as the Additional Controller General of Account, she is responsible for overseeing the flagship government financial management information system of India. This system manages the payment receipts and accounting function, as well as social transfers and monitoring of utilization of government funds. Ms Panda will share with us today India's experience with public financial management GovTech and its future challenges. Ms Panda, please, the floor is yours.
Good evening from India and namaste. So give me a minute while I share my screen, please. I hope everybody can see my screen. Am I audible?
We are seeing perfectly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I would like to congratulate the organizers at IMF for creating this wonderful opportunity and thank everyone for this invitation. It's a proud privilege and honor for me to participate in this discussion and take the audience through the PFM reforms through digitalization in India on behalf of the Office of CGA, Ministry of Finance, Government of India. As a practitioner of PFM, my experience is that the current age reforms in PFM can only be enabled in an IT-based ecosystem. On the other hand, availability of current IT tools has also triggered business process reengineering in PFM to bring about greater efficiency in various PFM processes. Thus, PFM reforms and digitalization go hand in hand and complement each other. Briefly, this is how I have structured my presentation, which can be seen in the screen. Very quickly to tell how India started on PFM was that in 1990s, we started with a voucher level computerization. In 2000, we moved to a mixed system of a standalone system and a separate web-based platform for consolidation of accounts. In 2011, we initiated the electronic payment advisors for e-payments, and 2009 it was felt that there should be a web-based IT system to track the payments released to subnational governments. It was in 2014 that Ministry of Finance mandated to onboard the whole treasury operations and PFM processes, including fiscal reporting, cash management, and monitoring and tax system on the PFMS platform, setting the roadmap for a financial management information system for Government of India. I think this was a watershed year for PFMS, and after that there has been no looking back. This screen just shows our PFMS mandate, what all we cover in PFM reforms. And here I shall try to tell you the whole digital ecosystem of PFMS. We have already onboarded or developed the payment modules, the total digital receipts, the payroll and pension packages, and systemic budget control is in place, and of course the accounting and fiscal reports. It gives a great deal of pride to state that about more than 470 billion US dollars of disbursements, tax and non-tax revenues of 210 billion US dollars were processed through PFMS for last year. The robustness of the system can be gauged from the fact that around 1.37 billion transactions were processed on PFMS during peak of COVID-19 pandemic. I think when everything was in lockdown, it was PFMS which kept the money flowing, thus keeping the economy afloat. Fiscal reports are a very important tool for timely, reliable, and comprehensive information. And for that, we have developed various sets of reports for stakeholders, which are continuously amended and reviewed based on user feedback. And to enable real-time availability of such information, dashboards have been provided for different stakeholders like the Planned Finance Division, the Budget Division, and subnational governments, DBT dashboards, and banking dashboards to review. Another important fact was how to track the fund utilization, which goes from the central government to the subnational governments. And for that, PFMS developed an expenditure advance and tracking module. And this enables that there is proper monitoring and there is reduction of idle parking of funds and reduced float in the field agencies, and money is spent on targeted objectives. Recently, the Ministry of Finance has mandated that federal releases to states will be done through a single nodal agency and the EAT module, and I think this shall help further monitoring of such float in the agencies. A very significant expenditure management initiative was the direct transfer of funds to beneficiaries. And for this, PFMS has developed a robust utility of bank accounts, validation of bank accounts of beneficiaries to enable fictitious ones, which and directly and immediately credits the cash benefits into these accounts without any transition losses of any time. The DBT, I think, has brought huge accuracy and efficiency in transfer of cash benefits to eligible beneficiaries and has become a game changer. An estimated saving of 24 billion US dollars has already been made through targeted cash transfers under 603 schemes covering 54 ministries, including the largest guaranteed employment program of India. And this also covers social assistance programs, widows, scholarships to benefits, and to underprivileged women. Another very important cash management initiative was through a just-in-time release through the Treasury Single Account System, which was initiated in 2019 and rolled out during the peak of pandemic last year. And I'm happy to state that there has been a universal rollout this year, and transfers to around 765 ABs and sub-AGs have done. Basically, this is the cash outflow happens only when field agencies require money, and from the federal government, it is assignments are released through the Reserve Bank of India, the central banker. And so I think once it realized to its full potential, it can cause a significant reduction in the size of borrowing of federal government and reduce interest costs. Of course, we are developing more modules on assets and liabilities too. So how has this been possible? This has been made possible through a seamless integration with our various stakeholders and external systems. We have the payment units, the budget holders. We have about 540 banks integrated with PFMS. We have about more than 3 million program implementing agencies, 31 treasuries of the state governments who are integrated with the PFMS, and daily uploads of data exchange happens with PFMS, and almost about 700 million beneficiaries are on PFMS. So such a large network of stakeholders requires a very effective accountability framework, and we have put in place a number of KPIs and do regular monitoring with the banks and so on. I think the success of digitalization has been also due to a well structured collaboration with the National Informatics Center, who is our technical partner and has given us an in house capability for development and support. Any system has to have the citizen as the center in its approach, and for this reason we have developed a utility known as Know Your Payments on the PFMS portal, so that the beneficiary who is getting the payment can track its payments. We also have a number of mobile apps, and SMSs are sent to beneficiaries whenever a payment is released in them. We have a 24/7 help desk and a strong grievance redressal system. Well, as you know, we are going through the toughest times in the world, the pandemic, and 2020, 21, we never know when it's going to end. But I think the PFMS as a system rose to the occasion and it ensured that there was no downtime. And because various payments became imperative for sustaining the economy and mitigating the vulnerabilities related to the pandemic. In this past couple of years, various disbursements have been made under transfers underprivileged women under PM Garib Kalyan Yojana, the transfer procurement of vaccines for COVID-19 vaccines, payments for migrant labor, and social cash transfers to the underprivileged and migrant labor. I think we have transferred to the tune of 41 million US dollars for these special assistance programs. Given this, all the developments so far, I'm happy to say the road ahead looks promising. The digitalization in PFML has moved with great pace. Looking ahead, we are working to expand the process of digitalization, data and fraud analytics, creating beneficiaries database with the facility of Elasticsearch, upgradation of technology, and enhancements of security protocols. We remain attentive to ongoing developments and have already initiated steps to formulate policies on cybersecurity. We have been consulting with the experts to utilize the potential offered by artificial intelligence and machine learning, blockchain technologies, and cloud computing to further enhance the efficiency and effectiveness of PFMS and to imbibe ISO certifications as relevant. We also plan to take the digitalization process to end-to-end digitalization of invoice payments and pensions and HR management. At the end, I'd like to say that Office of CGA has been pushing the momentum of digitalization of PFM processes to bring about greater efficiency in disbursements, receipts, accounting, fiscal reporting, cash management, and expenditure management. Our endeavor is to set up one of the largest financial digital pipelines in the world that connects the federal government with the states, local government, and the common man and all other finance stakeholders and keeps the financial governance agile, reliable, and efficient. Looking forward to a continued dialogue as we forge a road ahead towards better practices on PFM. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Panda, for your excellent presentation on India's public financial management information system journey and the challenges ahead. The experience of India showed a long-term and consistent strategy to implement GovTech solutions to support fiscal policy. We are glad to learn more about your experience and your future challenges. We finished the revenue side, the spending side, and now we'll move to the revenue side. So we'll introduce Mr. Barraza, Head of Internal Revenue Services of Chile. Mr. Barraza has been responsible for direct implementation of Chile's latest tax reform and important innovations, such as the VAT on digital services and the pre-filed VAT returns, which allow taxpayers to comply easily with the payments of tax obligations. Mr. Barraza has extensive experience in the utilization of digital technology in tax administration processes. Mr. Barraza will share with us today Chile's experience in introducing digital innovation in tax administration. Please, Mr. Barraza, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Gerardo. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for inviting us to share our experience and vision on this important issue. Let me share my presentation, please. It's okay?
Yeah, we are seeing.
What? También, ¿no es cierto? Okay. Well, the process of changes is very present in our institution. It is increasingly necessary to change, whether due to digital operations, taxpayers' empowerment, and the pandemic recently. One of the biggest challenges is how to identify changes on time and anticipate events. Our focuses are on the digitalization of services, advanced analytics, process automation, and managing teams. For us, evolution, transformation, and adaptation have been constant over time. The common pattern has focused on optimizing tax management and compliance, along with attention and assistance to the taxpayer. All this with intensive use of technology. The main digitized solutions have been digitalization of the taxpayer life cycle, pre-filled in annual income tax returns, electronic invoicing, electronic ticket or receipt, pre-filled VAT returns, and personalized taxpayer tax report. The digitization of the taxpayer's life cycle. Here, the taxpayer can carry out the following procedures online: obtaining tax identification number, beginning activities, information update, business closure. Along with the pandemic, the other taxpayers' requests that were made at the office. Some online solutions have to be provided. Receive taxpayer requests through existing systems, attach information, analyze through remote work, answer delivered through the same system or by email. To ensure closer ties with taxpayers, we have been adding new mobile apps to easy tax compliance. Some taxpayer benefits Taxpayers carry out their transaction 100% online event from mobile devices. Taxpayers only need to access their personal secure web page and our website by their authentication secret code and password. Taxpayer may attach additional information if necessary. They can reuse a document provided as a background in other procedures. The process can be completed online and they reduce compliance costs. The pre-filed annual income tax. The tax administration prepares a pre-filed annual income tax return for taxpayers based on information that third parties must give to the administration by law. Different calculation assistants have been incorporated to facilitate the completeness of the declaration. Some advantages: we reduce costs by accessing third-party information, and high volume of information is necessary for the different processes. The use of third-party information allows systematically auditing tax returns and generating pre-filled income tax returns to taxpayers. This model has been replicated in other processes such as export VAT refunds and the control of the correct determination and payment of VAT. Development of several facilities for taxpayers such as pre-filled return, visualization of the information provided by third parties, calculation assistance, between others. All these applications are evaluated well by the citizen, turning the tax administration into a technological and quality reference within the electronic government. Electronic invoicing. Electronic invoicing corresponding to the electronic receipts in B2B transactions, business-to-business transactions. The Chilean Tax Administration has facilitated the use of the system, incorporating improvement and launching new applications to facilitate compliance. Some benefits achieved with the model are high acceptance and adhesion. Incorporation was voluntary for the first years. The strong demand for information from the beginning. Attractive electronic alternative to the physical stamping of the tax documents. Boost of electronic commerce and businesses. High efficiency allow tax inspection from the beginning of commercial operations. Native support for electronic factoring. Boost for other systems around electronic invoicing. Electronic ticket or receipt corresponding to the electronic receipt in business to consumer transactions, B2C transactions. The tax administration receives electronic tickets close to real time. It increases that integration in the big data environment to expand analytical action and massive processing. It generates alerts to taxpayers, feedback from field audits, maps to identify emission gaps, data completeness to generate pre-filled VAT returns. Pre-filled VAT returns. The tax administration prepares a pre-filled VAT return for taxpayers using different data sources such as information of purchases and sales get from electronic invoices and electronic tickets or receipts. Then it makes a massive data crossing and generates the results used in the proposal VAT returns. Some taxpayer benefits are no longer obliged to create and keep purchase and sales books. Automatic construction of purchase and sales records based on electronic invoices and electronic tickets of receipts. Free billing system for taxpayer with reduced issuances. Free simplified accounting system for billing users. Lower cost in billing and filling of papers. Automated management of clients and suppliers data. Reduction in the cost and complexity of tax compliance. Some tax administration benefits are data acquired directly from the invoicing process with reliable information. Invoice detail allows the crossing of sales and purchase records, crossing the purchase and sales record against VAT return, detection of irregular invoices, high amounts on capital by sectors, share relevant information with the organization, with other organizations, such as Treasury, Central Bank, and others. Use of information for audit and control processes, and analyze of information to improve the efficiency of inspection processes. Finally, personalized taxpayer tax report. This report is an initiative to promote accountability of public spending so that people are able to know the contribution they have made through payment of their taxes and how these resources have been invested to meet the needs of the country and its inhabitants. This report is received by individuals that file their income tax return about their previous year's income. In addition, people that don't make an income tax return but generated income during the year can also access this report. Well, tax official of the future, we need new skill sets, of course. Without a doubt, we are all aware that the process of digital transformation at our administration is becoming increasingly important. This was before the pandemic, but accelerated now due to COVID-19. It is clear that new skills set within the tax administration will be required over the coming years. Traditional skills may not be enough and new skills may be required. So we need to understand that are the challenges this new scenario brings. So how should the tax official of the future be? Ideally, we should find a type of unicorn with many different skill sets, many of which our officials already have, but now is becoming more important. Now, hiring unicorns, as the term implies, are hard to find and it will be difficult to find them. And therefore, we will have to create multidisciplinary teams that combine the skill set we require, and therefore, in the end, all that officials are need to be able to work and function well in a high-performance team. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Fernando, for sharing with us Chile's tax administration experience. Chile is one of the most advanced countries in this field in Latin America. And I think it's really important, the point that you bring to the table about the institutional capacities, the staff skills, all the necessity to strengthen the institutional capacities of the public administration to face these new challenges. Now, I will turn to our last speaker, Mr. Lindenberg from the Tax and Customs Board of Estonia. Mr. Lindenberg has over 10 years of experience in business analysis and system development. Over the previous years, he has been in charge of developing innovative tax services that require strong public-private cooperation and deep involvement of other governmental organizations. Mr. Lindenberg, the floor is yours.
Hello, good morning from Estonia as well. I will share my presentation with you. I'm very happy to share some of Estonia's developments with you, and very interesting to hear how things are developing in other parts of the world. So, from Estonian side, as we see a trend of moving into a real-time economy where declarations are not that important anymore. The data that we are collecting with the declarations are seemingly like going to replace the declarations. So we have had some pilot projects to see how things would go and how businesses and private people would be accepting these changes and these new services of the future. I will be introducing to you two of Estonia's tax administration services that we have developed. First one is for businesses, which is a salary payment service where businesses can easily declare their income tax and social tax for their employees. And the other service that I will be introducing is an entrepreneur account, which is for natural persons to earn business income without declaring taxes. And both of these services that we have developed are in cooperation with an Estonian bank. First service is the salary payment service. And what is this salary payment service? It is basically where with this salary payment service, you get tax declared and paid simultaneously during you are making the payouts from your bank. So this service we have developed for small and medium-sized enterprises who are not VAT liable and who are using the most common payment types that we have mapped, and this is about 38,000 businesses in Estonia, and the most used payment types are salary, management board, members fees, sick pay, payment, minimum social tax obligation, dividend payments, and payment for services on basis of obligatory contracts. So this how does this service work? It is actually very simple on the outside for the user, and that's what we went for, to ease the bureaucracy and the administrative burden of small and medium-sized enterprises dealing with taxation. So basically what the company has to do is pay out salaries from their bank. During this bank payment, they have to fill in the necessary extra fields that are not usually there when doing a regular transaction, money transaction from your bank. And during this, if you have filled in all the necessary fields, the tax will be calculated, and the tax calculation is not done in the bank side. It's actually done in real time in tax administration systems, which calculates the correct and personalized tax obligation for this company and for this person that they are making the payments. And the last step will be for the employer to confirm the payment. Basically, the payment is transferred to the employee's bank account. Taxes will be tax declaration will be filled simultaneously in background, and the tax is also paid to tax administration's account. All three things are done simultaneously during this step. So the company does not have to manually confirm the declarations and fill in the declarations. It is all done in the background while doing your paying out your employees' salaries. And some of the statistics that I gathered was how this service has been received. It has been slowly increasing, which shows us that this is the direction we need to go to ease the burden of tax declarations for the businesses, and let businesses deal with their own specialities and develop in their business sector. And currently there are about 750 companies using it quarterly, which is quite good for this bank that we are cooperating with, which is a small bank in Estonia. And the second service that I will be introducing is newest in Estonia. It's entrepreneur account for natural persons. what this account is a dedicated bank account in your bank where a private person can earn income from providing services without registering as a business. It means that it was meant to help a private person to operate as an entrepreneur without a bureaucracy-free and affordable manner, without worrying about bookkeeping, financial statements, and declaring your monthly tax declarations. And this is a good solution when offering service to other private persons, for example. And how this service works, it's basically you open this special bank account in your bank. Your clients who you are offering services make their payments to this bank account. Secondly, tax is automatically calculated in the background and also paid from this bank account. So a portion of the received amount is transferred to tax administration for taxes, and third, the remaining amount in the bank account is free to use. So taxes are paid from that. And tax in the background, tax administration will allocate the paid taxes between different tax types, which I will show you now. The taxation of this account is 20% from the received income, and this is up to 25,000 euros per calendar year. The amount exceeding 25,000 euros is taxed with 40% tax rate. And the tax withheld is divided between three different types of tax, which is income tax, social tax, and contribution to funded pension. And because social tax is paid, there are benefits also with using this account. It's basically you get health insurance when paying social tax as you would, and from you get payments to your pension funds, and also income tax that is withheld is sent to your local government, who can then develop your environment in your surrounding area. And some of the use cases why this account was actually developed is to help cope with the new ways of working. For example, sharing economy platforms where natural persons or private people are doing their occasional works to receive some extra income. And also it can be used for other work methods, for example, selling handicrafts, babysitting, photography, programming, coding, etc. And this service was introduced in January of 2019, and as we can see from the usage of this service, we see that the number of accounts, active accounts, has been increasing each month steadily. Now at the moment it's about 5,500 accounts, active accounts, and in September there were about 900,000 euros worth of transactions done to these accounts. So in the period of the lockdown and COVID, we see that this account has been increased in popularity and usage. And that is it from my side. Thank you.
Implemented by the Tax and Custom Board of Estonia. Estonia is a world leader in GovTech solutions and continues to explore innovative digital applications for the public sector. We arrive at the end of this session on the impact on public finance of GovTech and FinTech applications. We learn about GovTech experience on the spending side and the revenue side from Togo, India, Chile, and Estonia. 4 different countries, 4 different regions, but all of them are facing the challenges of adopting GovTech to improve the efficiency of public finance. We believe that GovTech and FinTech solutions have a lot of potential to improve the efficiency, transparency, and accountability of fiscal policy and service delivery to the citizens. For this reason, the Fiscal Affairs Department had established a GovTech working group to enhance and promote the coordination between all its capacity development initiatives on this important topic. We hope to see all of you again at the IMF future GovTech events. And I would like to invite you to connect again in 5 minutes to the next panel on GovTech, the future outlook. It will be a great panel to discuss the future challenges. Have a great day, and thank you so much for being connected.